Welcome back to Matthew 25, Talents. We want to listen to God through this story. And this time, we would like to take a closer look at the poor sucker. You know, that guy who received less money and then got harsh punishment. If you have watched all the videos so far, I bet my Aunt Berta's money that by now you probably are starting to have a hunch of what I'm going to say about the poor sucker. But let's take it step by step. You remember the master called his servants and gave 5 talents to one, 2 talents to another one, and to our poor sucker, just 1 talent. And we feel so sorry for the poor sucker. Just 1 talent. Poor sucker. His life is so unfair. Just 1 talent. But hey, do you remember how much 1 talent is in American dollars? 2.5 million. 2.5 million. In his time and day, it would be 15 years of work of an average person. So why do we feel sorry for him? The poor sucker is not poor at all. All right, I understand. He received way less than others. But I beg your pardon, what's wrong with grabbing that bar of gold, using it, multiplying it, enjoying it? Why couldn't he do that? Remember when I asked you what you would buy, what you would do, what you would change in your life if you had $2.5 million just like that handed to you? Do you still feel sorry for the poor sucker who is not poor at all? That's him. Take a good look. The poor sucker is not poor at all. You know what? Let's add a private jet. Here we go. Now, I'm not sure if with $2.5 million you get a private jet, but you get friends who have a private jet. So, one more time. That's him. Take a good look. The poor sucker is not poor at all. Okay, so we have established that the poor sucker is not poor. Now, let's take a look if he is a sucker. So why could he not use, enjoy, and multiply his $2.5 million? Do you remember his explanation? Out of fear. He hid the money out of fear. And then he blames the master for his fear. You are a demanding person. Harvesting where you did not plant and gathering where you did not scatter. Fear is the key word here. That fear distorts vision. That fear paints monsters in our imagination where they are not there. This fear makes him blind to the generosity of the master. This fear makes him blind to the invitation to partnership and friendship. This fear makes him blind to the prospect of creating joy together and spreading the joy to others. But at this point in our sweet little hearts, a spontaneous question emerges. Why was the poor sucker so fearful? Why did he perceive the master as a bad person? And what is our most logical response? There must be something wrong with the master. Okay, so let's retrace our steps. The poor sucker receives a huge amount of money and he is not poor. The master gives him a lot of leeway in experimenting. He invites him to partnership and friendship. He wants to create joy, share joy, and spread joy together. So what's wrong with this picture? Why is the poor sucker so afraid? Well, I have bad news. This is what the poor sucker brings to the table. This is what his heart is filled with. This is what his mind is filled with. These are his glasses. This is his view of the world. Guess what kindness shown by others looks like through such glasses. Guess what gestures of friendship and trust look like through such glasses. There is no amount of generosity that the master can show that will come across as generosity to that servant. Others will perceive the gift of the master as empowering, as invitation to partnership, as trust, as invitation to friendship. But the third servant will recoil. To him, the gift of the master is an outrageous imposition, a terrifying threat. The third servant cannot appreciate the gift. The third servant cannot use the gift, multiply the gift, enjoy it, because he cannot see, he cannot notice that gift in the first place. With this in his heart, with this in his mind, he cannot notice gifts. He is not an innocent poor sucker deceived by an evil master. He is not a helpless victim that the evil world takes advantage of. He is someone who believes that the world is bad, and now he has to hide, now he has to run, or he has to fight back tooth and nail. So it turns out that the poor sucker is not even a sucker. He is a loser who insists on the glass, half empty. Okay, but isn't his punishment not a little tiny bit too harsh? Let's take a look at that in the next video.